unfortunately, there is some obstacles for a lot of new mothers in going to different sites to sign up for that nutritional program. We'll also have from the Prince George's County Department of Aging that will be here to highlight their senior food and nutrition programs, and also other services for seniors and those with disabilities who live in the county. Because we do have a diverse population, we also have residents of the District of Columbia that we serve. So we're excited to have the District of Columbia Department of Health, who will also be here to share their services with those who reside in the District of Columbia. So working with Greg, and I'm going to leave these, we have our flyer, and I understand that you all are going to do door to door with the flyers. We're hoping and estimating that we would get at least 200 people here to the event. If it's more than that and you all can accommodate them, we can too. So we look forward to this just being a catalyst for continued collaboration as we work to improve the health of not only the town of Colmar Manor and the Ports Towns, but the community at large. So thank you for having us. Any quick questions you have?
Thank you so much for your presentation. I've used your services of the clinic before. My question is, would you be providing any dental screenings? Maybe not this time, but do you provide those?
Well, we're not dentists, but we could potentially look to see if we could recruit a dental provider. I know in the past when we've done like the days at the back to school fairs, they've had a dental provider there. So we might be able to help solicit and find one.
So I just want to say that I'm a patient there, myself and my husband, and we love it. We just think that you're the friendliest, most informative, and the doctors there are really attentive. So I've been going there for the past year, I feel like. My husband loves his doctor, so I just want to say thank you. And we're super excited to have this health fair here, and we're going to continue partnering with you. So I really appreciate it. I'll also be reaching out to you offline just to continue discussing the gas station that's being proposed. So right now we're going out and collecting letters of support in opposition of the development of a gas station. So, but again, I'm so thankful that you're here and that you're doing this.
Great, thank you. Yes, and we're happy to help with that campaign. The residents are aware, the other doctors at the clinic, and so they're ready to mobilize. So if the letter is the request, we can do that. If there's more to be done, we're happy to help as well.
And I think I shared this with Greg and the mayor. I am also, my other hat is that I'm the founding president and current president of the Greater Landover Knowles Civic Association, which is up the street from Aldi's. And we were on a 10-year plus campaign to keep a gas station out of our neighborhood. And we were successful. So the location where you see the Walgreens was supposed to be a gas station. So it can be done. And so again, we're welcome to share because we're one community at large. One of the focuses that we use to keep the gas station out was the environmental hazard. It's in a residential area, and the whole thing about off-gassing and so forth that we continue to do. And it's got to be a collective effort, and you got to stand through this. Even if it takes 10 years, just keep showing up. Hopefully it won't take 10 years, but yes, and again, I would be glad to share our experience with that.
Councilmember Mendoza is talking about expanding MedStar.
We would actually love to expand and would actually love to have gotten the space behind our clinic to have more space for the program. So we're open to it.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
Councilmember Brooks. So during the Wellness Day, some of the issues that I find is when people come, they get all the blood screening, the health screenings. However, that time between when they get the screening into the next visit, will literature be provided so that they know, hey, these are the next steps that you need to do to ensure you have a healthy life?
Yes, Ms. Paula, with the help of the residents, have actually made a health passport. And so it will be a little document for everyone to take home that will have their readings from the day, and it will have some information on what they should do about it. And there'll be doctors on site to not only give lectures about health topics, but to also be at the booth, at the exhibit tables and explain people, what their numbers mean and what they should do. So yeah, I agree. Health screenings are nothing without follow-up, so 100%.
And as a certified health educator, we're going to have health education material there in both languages because, as always, knowledge is power. And as individuals, we are responsible for our health, and we have health professionals who help us be the best that we can be. So yes.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks for having us.
Okay, and I'll leave the materials over here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so next up on the agenda is the consent agenda. So I'd like to request, wait. Oh, yes, sorry. So actually, sorry, we have to, on the consent agenda, we have to remove the September 13th, 2022 minutes. If you take a look in the packet, they're not fully, yeah, there's an error. It's not complete yet. So just, we're not going to be voting on approving those minutes. So those will be removed and striked. So the process is I'll ask for a request to approve the consent agenda. We'll take a vote and then we'll ask for discussion on any parts of the consent agenda. Sorry, no. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda. We'll open it up for discussion for anything that's in here, and then we'll take a vote on approving the consent agenda or not. Make sense? Okay. So I'd like to request a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Councilmember Harder, I'll make the motion as stated.
Councilmember Melinda Mendoza, I'll second that.
Okay, so I'd like to now open this up for discussion.
Councilmember Brooks, 5/17/2022 work session and then 6/7/2022 council meeting. It appears that after the resident public comments, they're the same notes. So again, that is 5/17/2022 special work session and the 6/7/2022 council meeting.
There's a good possibility. While going through these, there were some of the minutes got saved over old minutes, and vice versa. So strike those two as well. The May 17th and June 7th, 2022.
Okay, so we are going to strike May 17th, 2022 minutes and the June 7th, 2022 work session minutes.
Councilmember Brooks again on December 13th, 2022. and December 13th, 2022 for the town, as well as the public hearing minutes. We have December 13th, 2023 on the document.
Were those printed, were those from the printed email?
Correct.
Not the collection you got tonight.
No.
It's corrected in the new collection
Okay,
you
all
got tonight.
right, perfect, thank you.
Is there discussion on any other part of the consent agenda?
Part A or in general? Part A or in general? Our ray of sunshine is back. I want to make them work today. Is there anything that or any highlights to the treasurer's report that you feel need that the residents should know? No questions here?
Okay, anyone else? Any other comments, anything? Okay, so I'd like to take a vote. Oh, yeah, let's take a vote. So everyone in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye.
So clarification, so we are taking 3 meeting minutes out of the discussion, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, May 17th,
Uh-huh,
June
June
7th,
7th,
and September
September
13th
13th.
of 2022 were removed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the vote again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the mayor's report. Wow, that was quick. Okay. So very quickly, just wanted to give you an update on what's been happening. We hosted a Port Towns Shopping Center networking meeting. So the intention was to invite all the businesses that are in the shopping center so that they can meet me, meet the council, and then also be made aware of the new business licensing fee structure that is being implemented. We had one business owner come out. And actually, thank you, Councilmember Mendoza, for being there. I thought it was a very nice meeting, and I think obviously we're going to continue having these. It's very hard to get everyone together at once, but I thought even if one person shows up, it's a worthwhile effort. I also wanted to give an update that we participated in the Maryland Municipal League If I Were Mayor essay contest. So I had the pleasure of visiting the Roger Heights Elementary School and meeting the fourth graders there and participating in the reading of the essays from all over Maryland to pick winners of who wins like the prize for their school. So that was amazing. These children are just amazing with the ideas and the essays that they wrote. We also had a spades tournament where we partnered with the town of Cheverly, and that was the first time that we did something like that here, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And so the consensus is that we should do this on a monthly basis. The purpose for the spades tournament was to raise funds for our town scholarships. We didn't raise a lot of money. I think we raised 140, which we have to split with the town of Cheverly. So we raised $70 for our town scholarships, but hey, that's better than zero, right? But we're going to continue having that. We also reestablished our senior club, and that was led through a council member from Bladensburg, Councilmember Blount, and we had a meeting here. Ms. Blue was a part of it. The Cades came out for that. Ms. Caesar came out for that. I forget what other residents came out, but thank you for everyone that came out. And again, we're reestablishing the senior club. So there are a lot of things that are going to be happening that we want to make people aware of when it comes to seniors in town. So we're going to have events coming up for them. We're going to have art coming up for them. We're going to be having food. So please keep your ears and eyes open. And if there are neighbors that are seniors, let them know, make them aware that this is happening so that they are also involved in everything that's happening. I want to thank our Mayor Pro Tem, Linda Mendoza, for coordinating the meeting with the county exec as part of PGCMA. I'm sure that she'll give an update on it, but it was great to be a part of a collective of mayors that went to meet with the county exec and talked about our priorities. I made sure to mention to the county exec the issue that we're having with the gas station. I invited her to come to town. I think we still need to figure out what the strategy behind that is, but she is aware of the situation. And I think that we all should be making sure that we get on our soapbox to discuss the fact that we are opposing a gas station in the town of Colmar Manor. I've also met with Councilmember Jolene Ivy to discuss this, and we're in continuing conversations with her team and with her policy advisor. We're meeting with them next week. So we're really getting the ball rolling on this and making sure that we're getting all of the support that we can from all our local stakeholders. We met with, speaking of the gas station, we met with the NAI Michael Company and Andy Stern. Was that last week? Or the week before? I think it was last week. It did not go well. I am actually very upset. I feel that they're disrespecting us and they're disrespecting our town. And so I am planning on upping my level of opposition to them. So stay tuned and become involved. It's very important that everyone join the green team, as this team, along with other residents that have been leading the charge against the gas station, are a part of that. So the more people we have, the more numbers we have, the more that we can do. So make sure to check in with the green team to join the opposition against the gas station. And if you want to learn more, reach out to them. We'll open it up to resident comment. Okay, so sure. So I'm going to pause it for a second. We have interpretation on Zoom. So if you want to join the interpretation to become familiar with what's going on, just join the Zoom call and you can actually listen to it on your phone. So I'll say it in Spanish. Para la gente que no habla inglés, si quieren interpretación, nosotros tenemos interpretación disponible. Tenemos la reunión en Zoom. Entonces, en su teléfono usted puede accesar el Zoom y ahí puede oír el intérprete que todo lo que yo estoy diciendo lo está traduciendo en español. So, si quiere tomar un momento ahora para hacerlo, por favor, hágalo. El señor Rufus está muy considerado y quiere asegurar que ustedes entienden lo que está pasando. ¿Tienen preguntas? No? Okay. So I just mentioned that interpretation is available on Zoom. Mr. Rufus is very considerate to make sure that people who English might not be their first language have the access to interpretation. So continuing on, so we had an animal welfare committee meeting, which was awesome. Thank you, Councilmember Mendoza, for being there. It was great to have you there and all the residents that are forming. This is a new committee, and so we are working with the Cats Life Rescue, which we're super excited about. We'll invite them to the next town hall meeting so that they can give a presentation on what they're planning on doing. But in the meantime, I just want to make everyone aware that they're going to be knocking on doors to let you know who they are. And the purpose of this is so that they can capture stray cats and neuter them and then release them back. But they will be asking you if you feed any of these cats, please answer honestly. There's nothing, we're not gonna ticket you or cite you or anything like that. We just want to know what the situation is so that we can handle it. But they have already captured 7 cats. They've already neutered them and they've already released them. So this is a program that's happening now. So don't be alarmed if somebody comes and knocks on your door. They'll also be leaving door hangers. Am I missing anything? No, but they'll be doing a presentation. There will be much more coming out of that Animal Welfare League. committee. Um, As mayor and council, we're going to be having a retreat this Friday and Saturday. So the purpose of a retreat is for us to learn how to work more effectively together. So this is part of our professional development, and I just want to thank the residents for allowing us to do this. It's super important that we all work together to better the town. So that's the purpose of the retreat. As mentioned by Dr. Hill Daniel and Ms. Davis, we're having a health fair on the 29th of April, which we are super excited about. There will also be food given away at this health fair, so please make sure to attend. I want to thank the Recreation Committee and New Covenant Church for our big Easter event we had this past Saturday. So we hosted an Easter event in the gym, and we had a blast. And I want to thank everyone that came out to support. I want to give a special thank you to Councilmember Mendoza and Councilmember Harding for attending. It was really great to see you there. People love to see our council people at these events. And so I'm always appreciative of when they come out. It gives me time to rest, so I could slip into my bunny outfit and be the Easter bunny at the event. Also, please don't forget that we have baller tykes happening every Saturday. So there are different age groups. This is for ages 2 to 5, and then from age 6 to 8 to learn basketball skills and also soccer. It's happening in the gym. There is a charge for it. If you need assistance with that charge, you can come and let us know. I believe it's $125 starting, it started like around the first weekend of April, and it goes through the first weekend of June. They learn these skills, and there's also a story time. So it's really a great event for the kids and for the parents. We had a volunteer appreciation breakfast. So I want to thank Delegate Fennell and all the council members that were able to attend. We were able to thank people that are part of our committees. Again, nothing that we do in town would be possible without the volunteers and the people that help coordinate all of these events. And that's pretty much it in regards to the mayor's report. I'll go ahead and now open it up for council member reports and concerns.
Good evening, everyone. Councilmember Harding here. First, I'll start with the endeavors I had last month. Last month, I had the pleasure of attending an event, Motivation Men Against Violence, Domestic Violence. And at that event, I had the pleasure of meeting a multitude of people. One person was, can't remember his name at the moment, but he's in charge of an all-male book club, which he's interested in bringing to Colmar Manor. Another was Pamela's group for mental health, which there's still talks in the works right now to see how they can attend and help us here in the community. But in general, there's just a lot of investment to this neighborhood, which I'm very excited about. There's going to be a lot of changes happening soon. As far as council concerns, I've been getting a lot of calls lately, and I really appreciate it because it means the neighborhood is active. People are seeing things on and just speaking about it. But I definitely wanted to announce this here that if you see something, say something to the police. If you feel threatened, call our police officers, not only because that's our first line of defense, but also it's documented through them. We wouldn't know things happen if you come to me first and I go tell the chief because they're not getting the police report in. But I'm loving the initiative. I'm loving just people being concerned about the well-being and the safety of their neighbors. Lastly, I felt like I had one more thing. No, it's slipping me right now. So I just appreciate everyone here tonight. This is a nice little crowd. I feel like we had enough seats and you're filling them. So thank you for coming out tonight.
Councilmember Hobbs, Ward 2 report. A few concerns were raised by my residents, specifically about the continuously barking dogs. And I know this issue has been raised and been looked into, but it seems like it's a continuous issue in Ward 2. Another issue is I would just like to encourage my everybody in town was the arrival of spring. It's time to do spring cleanup, get rid of old stuff and get rid of the stuff that is piling up outside. And if it's not working, like a fridge that is sitting on the front porch. And to my question, what is it doing on the porch? I received the answer has been fixed. I don't know, it's been fixed for far too long. So just a reminder that we should not be leaving furniture that is outside on the patio that is not meant to be there, that it's um, not used as a storage facility for everyone to see. Just clean up, donate it, go to Goodwill, declutter the house. It just feels so much better. Do the spring clean. Just make it look nicer for yourself and for people around you. Yeah, I just also wanted to say that thank you like to the mayor for hosting the soccer events for kids, for organizing that scholarship for our residents. It's been valuable. My nephew signed up and is participating, is very happy about it. So there are lots of opportunities for various age groups, for sports, for how to be active. Also, I would like, recently I worked on a project that involved people with disabilities or people with low mobilities, which are many of us can be at some point either due to sickness or injury be immobilized, or moms, for instance, with carriages. So I would like also to, in the future, maybe work and have some ideas of projects for people with either with different abilities. Thank you.
Councilmember Hobbs, I just want to give you a heads up. Thank you so much. The Foundation of Greatness were the group that brought in the baller tykes.
Yeah.
So
forgot to-
I definitely want to say thank you. They're not here, but Foundation of Greatness really works hard to bring and leverage their relationships with different groups to the town of Colmar Manor. So that's one group that we're working with that is definitely, assisting us with all that
Yeah.
we're doing. And I'm super excited that your nephew's gonna be joining, so I'll see
Yeah,
you.
he joined on the 1st. I signed up. So when I saw it on Facebook, it was as a reminder.
How old
because
is he?
He's 4.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna see you on Saturday.
Yes, yes.
All right, thanks.
Councilmember Brooks, regarding the residents' comments and concerns under health and safety. So there is a resident in the 3600 block off of 43rd that has a sidewalk issue that we know we put in place. Currently, there's a tree that we have in the meeting notes today that is going to be removed. So that's great. So thank you, Town Administrator, for taking care of that. As well as there's another sidewalk issue behind the Compare Foods where a elderly resident fell. So they're wanting to follow up on that status. Noise ordinance, just a reminder to residents that we do have a noise ordinance. So please be considerate to your neighbors after those hours. Regarding another health and safety, so the dike, this in the 3800 block around Lawrence, there is a overgrowth of vegetation. So we'll probably want to get the council and mayor together to figure out what's the next steps to clean that out to prevent possible flooding. And as it pertains to flooding, the mosquito season is quickly approaching. So maybe having some type of subject matter expert to come to the town hall to talk about the pros and cons of spraying as it pertains to people with immune deficiencies and the chemicals that are in the sprays that are or not there. And another item that we wanted to talk about was lighting. So residents continue to come to me about lighting concerns. Parking, the last weekend at the church down at the end of New Warwick Street, a couple of residents were suggesting that there was parallel parking going on. So maybe when we have holidays, being able to communicate to businesses and the residents of that parking ordinance. And then lastly, a lot of residents continue to ask about taxes and how do we, one, are they going to be raised? And then two, how do we lower them? Outside of that, continue to look at the charter review committee because we'll follow that up at the end of the 2023 fiscal year and reviewing the ethics committee and when that gets started again. That is all for Ward 3.
Sorry, so the question is around taxes is what?
So a couple of the elderly residents have been seeing some properties being sold at a higher rate. And as more properties get sold at a higher rate, that starts to increase the property taxes that residents pay. And one of the concerns that they were suggesting is, as some of them are on fixed income, how are increased taxes going to affect them and how can the town help them out with that?
Do you have any expertise in that area, Mr. Baden?
So in general, the budget, first draft of the budget that was presented to the council at the last meeting does not have any tax increase in it. So even though there is a increase in the value of properties and the value of real estate in town has increased, we've actually lowered the rate so that the impact to the residents will be not zero for town taxes. So there will not be any, if the budget is adopted as currently presented, there will be no additional taxes for residents based on that increase in assessed value.
Thank you.
I think we should add that to our next work session topic because it really goes around affordability and housing. So I think that it behooves the council to come up with solutions to these issues that residents are bringing up. I saw this new house that was just constructed on the cul-de-sac. I'm not sure what the street number is, but that house is selling for $700,000. Did you see it?
No, I haven't, but
Yeah.
never heard.
So I think we really need to have discussions around housing and improving home values. And we are inviting, or Habitat for Humanity is coming to town to host workshops. But I think as council people and also residents, if there are any ideas that you have to discuss this a little bit more, or any issues that you have, or any resources that you have, please bring them to us. So the only reason that we've made this connection with Habitat for Humanity is because one of the residents introduced us to Habitat for Humanity. So I just want to give a shout out to Ms. Dixon for making that introduction. So we do move on these intros once they're made, if we find that there is an opportunity for us to provide something to the residents. Sorry.
Okay, I don't have a big report, but I just want to thank all of you for being here this evening, tuning in, and also in person. I received an email a couple of days ago because spring has sprung and it's bee swarm season. One of our beekeepers, and if I forgot last year, we started with beehives in Ward 4's garden. So there's this thing called bee swarms. Our beekeeper, Amy Gatley, she sent an image and it looks scary. So, but apparently I had to look it up. A swarm is a group of bees that leave their hive with the old queen to find a new colony, and it's called swarming. So she's asking if we see that to definitely call the town hall. Our public works knows about it. Don't do anything. It looks scary. It's just a swarm of bees. But apparently if you see it, it's good. It's a good thing. So call the town hall and they'll know what to do. And it's pretty much it. Thank you all.
So I've shared the photo that Amy Galatly sent us. So you can see it up on the screen, you can see it on Zoom. And so the whole thing is, if you see something like this, call us, because she'll go and collect them. So we have a beehive at one of our community gardens, which is really, really, really awesome. So we don't want to kill them. We want to collect them. I'm not sure why we want to collect them.
To get honey.
Oh, okay, and plus, I'd be down for some Colmar Manor honey, so, sorry, Councilmember Mendoza, can you can you update us on PGCMA and that meeting that we had with the county exec, and maybe
Oh,
what,
thank you.
what the future plans are?
Yes, so we try to every year collectively with the 27 municipalities is to get together with the county executive. Because of the pandemic, it hadn't happened in years since Rashawn Baker was in office. So finally, the county exec was able to see us, and we had a great turnout, and we talked about our legislative priorities, and Mayor was there along with Greg, and she brought up the gas station. So she knows about it, which is good. And a follow-up is that, yeah, we would really like her to come and meet with us. So we're pushing hard to make that happen. But PGCMA does meet every month. We're hybrid. And our next meeting, looking at Chief, will be here at the Town Hall, April 20th, Thursday, next week. All right, 7 p.m. Yes.
So I just shared the photo of that meeting with the county exec. So I'm appreciative of the fact that she's meeting with local mayors and she's listening to our concerns. So we're definitely working with the county to improve issues in the town. And one of them happens to be stormwater management. So just want to give everyone a heads up on that. And just thank Mayor Pro Tem Mendoza for leading the effort with all of this and coordinating those meetings. So I think that's it with the council member reports and concerns. So now we're on number 9 of the agenda for resident comments. So I'll ask residents who wish to make a comment to come up to the mic, state your name, the block that you live on, and if there are people on Zoom as well that would like to participate, please make sure to raise your hand. And if you want to, if you're in person here and you want to say or give your testimony or your comment in Spanish, I'm happy to translate for you. Entonces, el proceso es para la gente que está acá, que van a hacer un comentario. Si se sienten más confortable haciéndolo en español, yo estoy más de feliz de interpretar para usted y decirlo en inglés. So I'm opening the floor for resident comments.
Hello, everyone. Y'all know who I am. Rufus Williams, 3700 block of 38th Avenue. Once again, Chief Stone, thank you very much. Really appreciate you putting out the notices and everything like that, you know. But this town is not built for car storage. I can understand if you have a vehicle and you're driving it, that's not a problem. When a vehicle sits for 3 years, no, not driven at all. It's like storing cars, which is not fair to other residents. The other night, 9:30, 9:45, I go outside because I can't smoke in the house. The lady, Miss Williams, who's older lady, had to park down by the gazebo to walk up the street. I mean, I know it's a problem, but you have to be considerate of everybody. You know, you can't leave your vehicles just sitting, you know. This is a new resident to the town. They're a new resident to the town. They're my neighbors. Or a matter of fact, the bee thing, he was talking about that. He has a problem at his house because he asked me how to deal with that. So y'all can talk about it. But anyway, Mayor, last time I was here, you was telling me, what did you tell me about the lighting for Pepco?
I don't know. What did I
Street
tell you?
lighting?
Was it me or was it the chief?
It was you. I think you told me that the lighting was gonna cost
That wasn't me.
a certain amount of money.
That was
Yeah.
probably the town administrator.
No, it was you.
No, because I don't have those figures. I don't know.
Okay, well, anyway, I did some research and I am a building engineer. I deal with professional lighting contractors. Talked to a lighting contractor who informed me that the LED lights for the street poles can be purchased for $350 each. And Pepco would give the town a rebate for putting in the LEDs. Somebody can check into that. I very much appreciate it. All right. Thank you. Oh.
And
one last-
actually, whoever you spoke to, if you can put them in touch with us, that would be amazing. Like if you've done the research, then we appreciate that for
Yeah.
sure.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Do you have our email address? Or do you have Greg's email address?
Do I have your number, Greg? I think I might have it, probably.
Actually, what's your email? I'm gonna send you an email right now. What's your email address? Well, do you feel comfortable? No, okay, forget it. Well,
Okay,
here, write it down for me. Can you give them? Yeah, just
okay.
let me get your email address.
All right.
Thank you. Sorry, so anyone else want to come up and give comment?
You got the complaint, come on. Come on, talk.
Yeah, why don't you, yeah, just step up. Thank you.
That's my neighbor on the corner. He wants someone to address as a big giant tree that sits right by his house on his property. And he's trying to get somebody to cut it down and he don't know what to do with it. And
Do
he
you
was
want
asking
to,
me,
come up?
he was asking me about it and I told him to come up here and address y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, how you doing?
Salam.
Salam. So I'm worried about the trees, the big tree that's dangerous for all houses, maybe 3 houses. It's endangered, so that's why I said. tree
Sorry,
town.
I meant to ask, I'm sorry, what's your name?
My name is Fikre.
Fikre?
Yes.
And what block do you live on?
Monroe and 37th.
Monroe and 37th. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there is a big tree on the town's area, so maybe it's fallen, it's about to fall. When it fall, give us a big problem, so that's
Okay.
why I'm gonna let you know that.
Have you called the town hall to report this, or this is
I
the
was-
first time that you're bringing it up?
No, I was called, but nothing resolved till now.
You called
I was called before, maybe 2 years ago.
2 weeks ago?
2 years.
Oh,
so
2 years ago?
Mayor, if I
Yeah.
may butt in,
Oh, my
I
God.
actually spoke to
Yeah,
this resident before.
before it's
And I
elect.
brought this to attention with our former mayor. I guess the issue is it's on his property as well as off property. It's by our old storage unit in the corner
Yeah,
in that area. I don't know if you know. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
he knows the problem.
No, yeah.
Okay, so we're definitely, we're gonna talk to Public Works about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ama Seganalo.
One question on that. As we have more trees that come into topic, is it beneficial for us to develop a tree policy so we can go around town and find out what trees are historical that we want to save? What trees and what criteria identifies a tree as needing to be cut down? And then having some type of, I guess, database so we know that going forward.
That is an excellent point.
I can answer part of that, and thank you for that. So the town has a tree committee per ordinance or per resolution as part of our designation with the National Arbor Day Foundation. However, the committee has not been reformed in several decades. And so it's kind of on paper only. In fact, the two people that were on it that are still in the town, that I asked them if they knew that they were on the committee, didn't even know they were on the committee. So we are reforming that committee. We need volunteers for it. They're actually, Arbor Day Foundation has great online training on how to be part of a tree committee. And what
Sign me
you,
up.
yeah, yeah, I can send you the website. It's a little academy thing. I need to take it myself. It's been on my to-do list, but part of that is the tree committee kind of they establish what they want to do as a committee, but part of it is, the idea behind it is to create policies regarding trees. On that note, one thing that they do push for tree committees to do is a inventory of the trees in the town and what types of trees, the age, the condition, things like that. I was just contacted last week. I believe it's through the Neighborhood Design Center in conjunction with someone else. They just received a grant and have for the port towns to do just that. So they are going to be doing a canopy, at least a canopy inventory of the port towns over the next year or two. So that's something that we can look forward to benefiting from, that they did completely outside, but wanted to group us in.
Thank you.
So just to answer your question, yes. I mean, that's our job as council people, to come up with policy and come up with solutions to these issues. So it's not up to me. I work with a team. So we need to collectively discuss this and figure out how we're going to address this issue. I think we do need committee members for this tree committee. Council members can be a part of committees. So if there are any people that this is an issue for, you should join the committee. Also, there are other towns that have arborists. We do not have an arborist. So that's a consideration right now as we talk about our budget and what we want to do in the town. So I say, obviously, for me, that's a resounding yes. Mr. Esfai? Vikra, so your wife came and did the coffee ceremony here. Yes, okay, so you need to come back and do the coffee ceremony, okay? All right, sorry, go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Yes, good evening, Deborah Williams, 4200 block of Newark Road. And so I just wanted to follow up with what Mr. Williams talked about. Again, of course, the lighting issue that we have down near the 4200 block of Newark Road. So I'm just piggybacking on what he said. Secondly, and we talked about this on last month, we still have that recurring issue with this trailer hitch that moves a little bit, comes back, or whatever he's doing. But as of today, there is a Ford truck that's on that hitch with no license. I didn't see any license tag on that, but they're staying there for 2, 3, 5 days with different cars on there. But this car has been there since like Friday. And so at least, I think it was Thursday or Friday, but I've been sending reports in. And so this really needs to be taken care of, because this is not a commercial area, and it gets, trained like that. So now I just want to also mention of note for anybody who didn't know, on this past weekend, we had a very bad incident where someone jumped the curb, okay, with a Honda truck, SUV, almost potentially where they hit the neighbor's small tree, and they rolled down the sidewalk, took out the 4203 fence, the whole fence. So they drove through 3 parked cars, and they landed at the caution sign and the tree between the Joneses residence. And it took them over an hour to get that car wedged out of there. So this is there. I just wanted to say that, not necessarily saying that this has relationship to the parked trailer that's there and how dark it is, but just that, this really would have potentially been a bad accident. So I don't know if, what the person was doing or what he was not doing, but I just wanted to make that of note. But I have noticed when I am parking, when I park And I sit in my car for a while and I watch people, they veer way over to where we're at. It never fails. I said, we're just trying to live. We're just trying to live. And incidents like this happen. And it was a little scary because we heard the screeching sound and we heard the crunching sound, but fortunately, there was no person that was hurt. At least somebody walking. Now I know it was late at night, but people walk around all the time, with their dogs and things of that nature at many hours of the night. And with it being so dark over on the other side, you just don't know what's going on. But fortunately, unfortunately for him, the car was damaged on both sides, if you will, and the undercarriage. But thanks be to God, there was nobody, none of our cars got hit, because this would not have been the first time, because my husband's car has gotten hit before from somebody doing whatever they're doing, bam, just hitting. So thank you. I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the mayor and council. And then finally, you mentioned that Habitat for Humanity was going to come back for the workshop. I'd like to know when. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Chief, is there anything that you can share in regards to that trailer or the situation with the trailer and then that car?
From the trailer, it's a town resident. They're in compliance with our ordinance. I personally marked it track of days here. Yesterday, so in my book, the 48 hours will be up tomorrow that I made note of. To be honest with you, we don't go around and putting chalk on everybody's tires. There's probably 400 cars in town and not everyone moves within the 48 hours. I understand that that's technically a town ordinance. We do use it in conjunction with, say, if someone has expired tags, a flat tire, inoperable, that kind of stuff. We'll mark it for 48 hours, but just someone sitting in front of their house. This one is not in front of their house, but they're parking it on the widest street in town. And they perhaps I lost track of the 48 hours, but tomorrow when my 48 hours is up, I'll put a citation on it. The car, you're referring to the accident, that was at 1:17 in the morning, and I don't know the circumstances other than it was a single vehicle accident, no injuries. The car had to be impounded.
So I have a question. What's the issue with the trailer? Like why? Like what's the issue? Like what is the nuisance around the trailer? Because if this is a town resident that owns a trailer, I want to know, like, what are they doing that is not a good thing for the town?
Well, first of all, I think that in all likelihood, it's a commercial vehicle. So it's, to me, and I may be wrong.
How do we know
but
that it's a commercial vehicle? Is it a commercial vehicle?
It's a trailer. It's a trailer hitch. It's a trailer that has a car on it as though it's a business. Now, if that's something that we're permitting, when we're talking, it's setting a precedence. It sets a precedence that it's okay to do this. Now, next thing
But to
we
do
know-
what? Like what are they
Oh,
doing?
to park in a residential area where others can potentially do the same thing. And if we continue to allow this, because although they may be moving, now I disagree that it's only been 48 hours because I see the car every day. But that's, I'm not marking, I'm not chalking, I'm not doing it because I don't know anything about that. That's just me, that's me saying this. When I come out of my house every day and I'm seeing this trailer, it's not residential friendly. It's okay. So we're saying, we're setting a precedence that it is okay to park commercial vehicles and let them stay for a period of time. I don't care if they move 200 feet, 500 feet, or a block or 10 blocks. that this is a residential area. Now, I understand that there is commercial property that sits on the other side of this, but they've got legal parking. This is, so why are we permitting this to happen? Now, if this is something that we're doing, then others can come and do the same thing. And then before we know it, we will end up being flooded with commercial vehicles, vans. I'm not talking about little small vans. We're talking about, and then we're talking about trucks and things of that nature. And it's not a comely sight. And so that's my concern, you know, because if some have to follow a rule, then it appears to me that it should be across the board. If this is something that we're allowing to happen, it's unsightly to me as a resident. Just like it's very unsightly for me that I know that the business across the street, as an example, the medical building, they're across the street and they're building on and things of that nature. But why do you put a porta potty in front of my window? So that I can see the gentleman going in and out of the porta potty. So it's an uncomely sight. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a commercial vehicle parked out near my house or in front of my house, if you will, so that if something goes wrong with the vehicles, then they're repairing, and they have done that before in front of my house when they wheeled the vehicle off of the ramp. That's not right. I don't go in front of anybody else's house and change tires, do the batteries, change batteries, or power up the batteries because there's a loss of the battery life. I don't do that. We go to the location or to the place where we have to have things repaired. So I just don't think that it's not a good fit, and we're setting a different precedence. And if they, you know, it's like, okay, if this is your vehicle, then you put that in front of your own house. It's just a neighborly thing to do. But that's just my stance. I get it, you know, I'm a senior, you know, I take you know, precedence, and I also try to compliment my neighbor. I'm not going to try to do things in front or go park in front of my neighbor's house and knowing that they've got some place to park, or I'm going to park my, you know, my van or my truck or whatnot in front of a neighbor's house because there's space for parking. I'm not going to do that.
I was just curious. I didn't
Yeah,
understand what
sure.
the whole issue, because I purposely drive down your street all the time.
Yeah.
I drive on purpose because there are so many people that point out so many things that I'm like, okay, let me drive down the street and let me feel this out. And that's my route. My route is going down your street, looking at the trailer, looking at trees, sidewalks, looking at the vagrancy at the car wash. So I mean, for heaven's sake, I've gotten approached the people that have been there, and they curse me out, they give me the finger, but I'm there. So I just wanted to like figure out like what's the issue with the trailer? Chief, do you have anything that I thought you were gonna say something. I don't know if you have anything that you want to
Can
say.
No disrespect, Chief,
No,
too, by the way.
Well,
Thank you so much,
There
sir.
is, expand your route in town,
Yeah.
and I bet there are 10 trailers in town that are parked legally. In most communities, trailers are not allowed. When we went through the parking ordinance changes over the last few years, trailers were allowed.
Chief, can I say something? So in the past, when we did do the parking ordinance, we made Newark kind of the no permit parking. So unfortunately, you're on Newark, and that's where all the trailers and all the commercial vehicles are able, and we're saying they're allowed to park, not where it's permitted. So it may be something that mayor and council have to look into again. And
Commercial vehicles specifically are prohibited at over 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. Which is a pretty big truck, but you can, for the 10,000 and under, you can get the F-250, the larger pickup trucks, but not the box trucks. and
Right.
things like the larger.
Because we did, we used to have a tractor trailer that used to come and
Yeah.
park.
And so,
on
of
your-
course, I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
no,
I
no,
didn't
no.
mean to count some more. But, and that's the thing too, because at some point in time, because Newark Road is a major thoroughfare and you've got these cars and trucks that are coming down the road, we have, I don't know why, of course, we've talked about the traffic, how the traffic does. And you've got these 18-wheelers and you've got these trucks or these trailer hitches that are coming with these great big, tractor trailers and things on the back of them. And they park all along Newark Road during the course of the day. And you're weaving and wobbing, beebing and bobbing, trying to get in and out to even get to your own home. It's really crazy. And it's not, and then they're bouncing up and down and it's tearing our roads up as well. So it causes an adverse reaction in my opinion, but how else are they going to get where they're going to go? I'm surmising because I don't know, but they're doing that all day long, so we get it from 7 a.m. till
And
whenever.
I should add that the prohibition on commercial vehicles exceeding 10,000 pounds is at nighttime. Daytime,
Yeah.
there's no prohibition.
Yeah.
So-
I understand. So thank you. Thank you.
So one more information on that. So sets precedents. The vehicle in question, I took a picture this morning around 8:30 and tags were missing from the front and back of the vehicle that was sitting on top of the trailer, and the trailer did not have tags as well. So unless it's in our charter that a registration sticker circumvents any tags that should be supplied on that vehicle, then I think that is another reason. Traffic congestion. So there have been other previous incidents where the vehicle owner in question did maintenance on the vehicle in the middle of the day, which created more traffic congestions and having people to weave in and out. So some kids play on that street, which, we just want to make sure that that's a safe avenue for them. Parking limitations, we've had Mr. Rufus talk about parking limitations. We've had Ms. Williams talk about parking limitations. I've gone back to old YouTube videos where other residents have talked about parking limitations. So having someone detach their vehicle that pulls the trailer and then just leave the trailer there limits other people from using it for everyday purposes when it does exceed that 48 hours. And just, with freedom, we have responsibility. So as responsible neighbors, hey, if you have a certain limitation on how many parking spots you have allotted for your property, let's have a discussion about, what is the issue so we can identify long-term solutions. So we're all in this together.
So anything in regards to like parking vehicles wouldn't be in the charter, it would be an ordinance. So I think that we do, as a council, need to look at the ordinances and the parking ordinance, because from what I've been told, it's a hot mess. So I think that we need to revisit that, and I appreciate you bringing up and explaining the whole trailer thing, because when people come and talk about trailers, like, I don't really know what the issue is, but having you explain it helps me understand it. And I agree with you, like the other day I was driving down Newark and I see all of these trucks. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, we're not a pit stop. So I think that, that's something that we need to address and tackle.
All right, one last question, or two last questions.
Sure.
The last council meeting, you mentioned something about having, people, non-Spanish people learn to speak Spanish. I think you said something about doing something with the town of Edmiston or something. Did anything become of that? The reason why I'm asking is because most of my neighbors are Spanish. I'm friends with all my neighbors, and I'm interested in learning Spanish. Just like my neighbor here, he's sitting here now trying to tell me to tell you all what's going on. I prefer for him to come and say it.
By the way, Mr.
See,
Rufus,
that's
I
the
gotta
type-
tell you, like, don't tell this to your wife, but every time you come, I fall more in love with you.
Well,
Now that you told me that you want to learn how to speak Spanish,
hey,
hola, su nombre y la cuadra donde vive.
Sí, mi nombre es Victorino Ortiz y vivo en la Sí, mi nombre es Victorino Ortiz y la dirección es la 3506. El pequeño problema que nosotros tenemos es de que nosotros nos venimos hace un año a vivir acá y como a los 6 meses de estar viviendo acá, los vecinos, la verdad no sé el número de la casa, pero viniendo de allá en la entrada para el parque, la primera casa que está a mano izquierda para acá, la primera, segunda, tercera. En la tercera casa, ahí viven unas personas. Como le digo, no sé la dirección de ellos. Como anteriormente, el que vendió la casa parece que solo dicen que tenía un carro. Entonces prácticamente ahí pasaba vacío ese lugar, ¿va? Entonces ellos, yo con lo poco que he visto, les he contado 7 carros. Entonces ellos les gusta estar ahí parqueando y peleando por los parqueos. Y nosotros cargamos 3 carros. Entonces yo creo que eso es el problema de ellos, que ya no les queda mucho espacio, ¿va? Y ya me rayaron un carro. Y bien rayado.
Lo voy a traducir, ¿ok? Deme un
Ok.
momento. So he's saying, my name is Vitorino, I live at 3506, which is like 3506, what, 30, next door to Mr. Rufus. And he's saying, what I've noticed is that there are some, he said, I just moved here about a year ago, but I noticed that there's another house where the owner of that house has 7 cars. And they really kind of just fight with everyone for parking spaces. And he's like, I don't think that that's fair, that they're taking up 7 parking spaces. He said, I have 3 cars. But that it's an issue by his house. Sigue, por favor.
Sí, yo creo que me equivoqué. Es la cuarta casa viniendo a mano izquierda para acá, para arriba, de frente de nosotros, de la 3506. Hay 4 casas pegadas y la última que viene para arriba, la cuarta es donde viven esas personas que nos hicieron eso.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that he said that one of his cars got scratched up very badly due to this. Cuando lo que yo sugiero, y yo creo que yo hablé con usted, es venga y hable sobre esto en
Ujú.
las reuniones y también llame. Cuando algo le pasa a su auto,
Ujú.
llame a la policía, haga un reporte.
Ujú.
And so what I mentioned to him is, like, I've seen you before and you've mentioned this to me, so I appreciate you coming here and bringing this up, because I tell everyone, you have an issue, you can tell me, but you need to come to these meetings or you need to call the town hall and report it. And so I said, make sure that if something happens to your property, your auto, call the police and report it. Okay, so nosotros tenemos una ordenanza de parqueo y esa ordenanza, por lo que ve, no es muy efectiva. Entonces nosotros como concejales tenemos que visitar esa ordenanza de nuevo para arreglarla. Lo que yo sé que ha pasado es que la policía ha mandado una carta a todas las casas que están ahí por ese vecindario, hablando sobre los derechos de estacionar autos en la calle. Pero sí, vamos a seguir hablando sobre eso, pero por favor recuérdese que es muy importante, si algo le pasa a su auto, que llame a la policía.
Sí, porque yo no entiendo cuándo es el límite, a cuántos carros les dan permiso, porque demasiados carros en una sola casa. A mí no me importa ni me interesa saber cuántos viven en una casa, pero por lo menos que sepan vivir como vecinos. Yo soy nuevo de vivir acá y son los únicos vecinos que están molestando. Y ahí está un señor que es filipino, su hijo en la otra casa, unos mexicanos, todos bien tranquilos. Ellos, el señor acá, buen vecino, son los únicos que nos están molestando a nosotros de esa manera.
So he's just saying, hey, like, I'm not one that's going to tell people how many people should live in a house, but people should be respectful and they should be neighborly, which is what you said, Ms. Williams. They should be neighborly, and this particular group is always kind of causing issues. And so I think that it's an issue that we really need to address, and maybe even think about like how many cars are permitted to park on the street and whatnot. And sorry, Chief, I also mentioned to him in Spanish that that you sent out a letter to that area that talked about parking restrictions and parking issues. But I told him that, we have an ordinance that's not been very effective that we need to revisit and really look at and talk about. Entonces, gracias por traer esto y vamos a hablar sobre eso, pero sigue viniendo a las reuniones, por favor.
Sí, vamos a hacer lo posible de estar acá. Yo ya días quería venir a reportar esto porque no es justo, ¿va? Usted sabe lo que cuesta hacer uno sus cosas para que otro venga y y se
Yeah.
la destruya, va.
Y no se olvide llamar a la policía cuando esto pasa.
Sí, porque yo soy uno, pues porque yo sé quién me lo hizo y él antes se parqueaba ahí, pero ahora aunque esté libre el parqueo, él ya no se parquea ahí, prefiere venirse a parquear aquí en las líneas, abusando de donde ya no se puede parquear en lo amarillo, que parquearse allá porque sabe lo que hizo. Pero yo soy una persona que no me voy ¿cómo le quiero decir? A vengarme con las cosas materiales. Yo soy una persona que si tengo un problema con alguien, yo lo platico y trato la manera de solucionarlo, pero no con las cosas materiales.
Sí.
Y eso es lo que a mí me tiene un poquito así, pero está bien de todo modo lo que hizo ese tipo, la verdad.
So he just said, you know, like, again, like, I'm not someone that takes revenge out on issues, especially when it comes to material things. And even now, like where he scratched up my car, he doesn't park in that parking spot anymore because he knows what he did was wrong. But I think that we should all really learn how to live with each other and be neighborly. And that to me is like super important. He said, I've been wanting to come to these meetings before, but you know, life happens. But he said he would definitely start coming to these meetings more. And he said that he thinks you're a great neighbor, Mr. Rufus. So he said he appreciates all his neighbors. And he's like, on my street, we have Filipinos, we have Mexicans, and I get along with everyone, but this one particular house has been an issue. So, gracias. Y le voy a preguntar a la policía que mantenga ojo, que vaya y mire otra vez y vamos a continuar a conversar sobre eso.
Está bien.
Yeah,
Gracias.
gracias.
I just wanted to correct the record. I misspoke earlier, correct, Mayor. It is code section 10-105 part B that pertains to the 48-hour maximum for parking a vehicle. So thank you.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you just said.
So I misspoke earlier when I was talking about the actual document that specifies the 48-hour maximum for a vehicle to be parked in the town. And it was for the codes, section 10-105 part B. So.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's always an opportunity to educate people on town governance. And so we have a charter and we have an ordinance. The charter is like the constitution of our town, and it doesn't go into specifics, but the ordinances do. So that's what Councilmember Brooks was referencing.
Councilman Brooks, also, I'm going to send you over the ordinance. I'm not positive that what you're reading is the most current parking ordinance because of the codification issues in the past. So we're going through a codification process right now to incorporate all the old codes into one code, so it's all clear. But the massive overhaul that the chief and the mayor have mentioned happened through a bunch of voice votes in a meeting prior to the end of a council. And so they weren't necessarily incorporated fully into the code. That's probably what you're reading from. It's not totally different from what you're reading, but like that section, I don't think is different, but I'll send you the actual code. Chief and I were just talking about the need to get that up on the website because it's not clear. Yeah.
That is exactly what I was going to ask. What's on the website? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Morena. I live in the 40 Play. I come in here today for different complaint. Not for the parking, but I am with my neighbor too, because it's very problem with the parking, especially when there's somebody got a parking on the, it's not in the street, not in the place for coming inside the house. It's a big problem. The driveway, thank you. But my order is not complaint. It's not complaint. My comment is because in this time, since the spring to fall, many hojas, leaves coming down to the backyard, right? I don't have a tree in my house, but my neighbor had a big tree, and every single day I clean my backyard because I like to stay in the clean place. My opinion or my idea is maybe the mayor, the council member, I know very progress, very inclusive, very polite, buy the other container because we have container for the trash, for the recycle. But my idea is like California. I know California is the biggest state, but California bring the other container for the resident because I lost a lot of money in paper bag, buy paper bag, because we clean the backyard and it's too much paper bag. It's spend a lot of money. It's only 2-3 just in my house. I don't know in the other neighbors, but my idea is maybe we can have the support and buy the other container for putting in the on the street, the green container for the trash and the other container just only for the three recycles. Exactly. This is my idea.
Yeah, for yard waste, if you take any trash can and put an X on it with spray paint, they'll pick that up with your compost. So instead of paper bags, you can take any trash can and put an X on it, and Bates will take that. They'll dump it into the back and leave the can.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I buy paper bag.
Yeah.
But I don't know why this. I want the other container, extra container from yours for the resident.
So there would be no difference in that container than a garbage can with an X on it, other than more cans.
Why?
I'm not sure the difference.
So lo que él está diciendo es que si usted tiene ¿cómo se dice en español? Una basura.
Ajá.
Y usted le pone un X y pone las hojas en ese basurero, Bates lo va a recoger.
En otro color no importa.
No importa.
En other container.
No importa. Solo
Oh,
tiene que
only
poner
the
una
X.
X.
What color the X? Any color. Okay, perfect. I buy the spray and put in the X. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it.
Mr. Baden just said you can also do with tape. So if you have like duct tape
Oh,
or something.
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I will say that Bates is bad about missing some yard waste pickups, even in bags. So if you do use paint, neon.
Oh,
Bright.
yeah, no, I buy the color, the big,
Yeah.
the color that people can see, the
Yes,
color
'cause
specifically.
they're-
Okay,
they're-
perfect. I will
they're
buy to
bad
the
at-
Home
at
Depot.
missing them in
Okay,
general,
thank you.
so.
Appreciate it for putting clear my idea. Thank you.
So in response to that comment, since we're coming up to the budget, I know in other sections in the DMV area, there's a municipality that brings trucks around to pick up the leaves, and all residents have to do is push them to the sidewalk. Maybe that's something that we can talk about in the budget for the next fiscal year.
You can bring up any topic you want for the budget in the fiscal year. And so on that, I mean, you're talking about a private company coming through, or, so I will say that.
We'd have to analyze
Yeah.
the numbers.
I will
Yes.
say that, so the town does not necessarily do that. In speaking with Public Works, part of it is that our leaf machine that we do have isn't very large. And so it fills very fast, and then we have to take it over, we take it to Eco City Farms to compost. So if we were to do a full program with that, we're not just looking, either we're hiring an outside company to do it, or you're going to increase the size of the Public Works Department, even if it's just seasonal. I would say you would maybe double, if not triple the size of it, plus we would need new equipment. So we would almost have to probably go outside to do something like that. But yeah, that would probably be an RFP process. I'm not sure what that would cost, but we can look into it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Just wanted to add, so back in the days, Green Team, I believe, or the town provided trash bags, paper bags at a discounted price for the residents at 50 cents, I believe. So, yeah, so, you know, if you don't want to go to Home Depot or Costco to buy it, you can just come to the town hall and get those bags at a low rate, cheap rate. I also use, apart from those, I mean, I buy them, but if I don't have many trimmings, then I just use Trader Joe's paper bags or Whole Foods paper bags. It's small. So I fill it up, stuff it and take it out. Alternatively, also was part of the Green Team initiative, you can compost if you do mow your lawn, and we provided composting bins. It did not work for me, to be honest, because you have to tilt it. And if you don't, yeah, so if it's a cheap one, you have to do it manually, but more expensive ones, like then you can like flip them. Maybe that would have worked. So it didn't, but I give it a try, give it a go. So yeah, other than bins is a great idea. And I think our Cottage City, I believe, may do that, or some nearby towns as well. I also lived in California, so they also have these extra bins, and it seems like more convenient, but I feel like we do have a solution with an X. We do have an option to put an X on any bin for convenience.
Thank you. Are there any other resident comments in person, on Zoom? Okay, so we'll go on to the next agenda item. So now we're on number 10, unfinished business. Reallocating ARPA funds for police equipment. Take it away, Greg Holcomb.
At the council work session, the council voted to reallocate $20,000, well, reallocate $16,000 to, no, 14, it's 6,000 in the budget, right? I keep getting the 4 and 6. Let me start over. There's 6,000 in the budget. At the last council work session, the council voted to allocate $14,000 out of ARPA, reallocate it to the taser line item for police and police equipment to purchase the tasers that the chief had mentioned. Just before the meeting, I brought out the invoice for that if we were to go through with that. So the request is to reallocate and then also would be to authorize the chief to purchase the tasers. We've identified, where was it? So out of the savings that we had in ARPA from the previous projects, we had $10,000 can be moved from the furniture town hall ARPA line and $4,000 from the traffic study line. So just as a point of reference, the furniture line has an excess of $10,728.20. So we can move 10,000 of that out. Those purchases are finished. And then the traffic study, the initial budgeted amount was 35,000. The traffic study came in at 25,300. So there's a $9,700 balance there. So we can easily move 4,000 out of that line.
So the question I had is, can we make the motion stated, or do we have to individually move that monetary amount?
We can. And we can purchase at the same time, or do you want separate? So I think the motion would be to reallocate the ARPA furniture town hall line, $10,000, and the traffic study line of $4,000 to the taser, additional tasers ARPA line, and purchase and approve the purchase of the tasers.
This is Councilmember Melinda Mendoza. I will make that motion stated.
Councilmember Harding, I'll second that motion.
So I'll call for discussion on this. Any discussion?
Just to let the residents know, we had a discussion on this in our work session, and our officers' tasers are what, 10 years old?
Yes, been in service for 10 years, and they have a recommended lifetime of 5 years, what manufacturer recommendations are, but they've been in service for 10.
So this is well overdue.
How many are we buying? 6, and what are we discarding the other ones, or what's the recycling them?
So the chief said that he would reallocate one to each council member, and then we could practice
On each
tasing.
other.
For the
On
retreat.
chief.
Yeah, at the retreat.
For the retreat. Okay, awesome. Because they're old, right? That we can use them, like, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
they're old and not interchangeable with the new ones. We may put them up for if another department needs them for parts and sell them that way, but we wouldn't continue to use them or make them available to the public.
So did I understand it correctly? We're taking money and from somewhere else that it was already designated to and putting it here?
Furniture in the
Yes, it's the savings that we had from the furniture.
Oh, the
So we, yeah, we
savings,
were under
yeah.
budget on the furniture and the
Right.
traffic study.
Okay, traffic studies under budget too. And yes, so we're done with purchasing furniture, right? We're not playing, we've completed it all, okay. Okay, all right then, I don't have no further questions, thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, vote aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you. So next agenda item is new business, which includes a budget discussion, request for additional funding for tree removal, request for funding to replace town hall water heater, and introduction of O05. Oh, no, that's not an O, is it? Oh, okay. O for ordinance 05/2023 business license amendments. So the budget discussion, I will ask our ray of sunshine, Mr. Baden, to go ahead and lead that discussion.
Does everyone have a copy of the budget in their packets? No? Would be the proposed budget, which I believe was given out at the last meeting. No, you all didn't do that last week. Oh. We could either make copies of what I have and go on to the, if you want to go to the next item, I can make copies and then come back to it in a minute. That's what everyone had
Okay.
in their packets.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next new business item, which is request for additional funding for tree removal. Take it away, Mr. Holcomb.
That's my place. As Councilman Brooks mentioned earlier, that there was a tree located on, well, there's a tree on 43rd Avenue that is apparently dead. And we had our tree service look at it and said, yes, it is either on its way out or on it or out. The issue is that much like the last tree we had removed, we're already over budget for the year to remove it. So in order to take care of the tree, we need funds allocated to the tree budget line, tree maintenance budget line. So the cost of removing this current tree is $475 with an additional 150 if they remove and grind the stump down to the ground. So I think what might be safe, because we are entering spring and there are questions about trees, is maybe to reallocate $1,000 or $1,500. It would have to come out of the unreserved funds into the tree line, just as a placeholder to allow us to take care of this tree. But then if there's another need that comes up, we don't have to keep coming back to you all every time there's a tree.
So that's 3 trees, maybe?
Not necessarily. The last tree we had removed was over $2,000. It was a very large tree. So yeah, this is a tiny tree compared to that.
All right, so we'll add this to the budget discussion later. But
Do you want to?
I will,
Let's say to take care of this now, if we
Yeah.
want to take care of this or any other tree this year.
So I move that we approve the transfer of funds to accommodate the tree removal in the 3600 block of 43rd Avenue of initial cost of $475 with an additional $150 to grind the stump. Councilmember Brooks.
Do you want to allocate maybe a larger amount so that we could just take
Yeah,
care of? Otherwise,
that's a good
I'll be
idea.
back here every month asking about a tree. Because I have a feeling there's going to be some more.
Councilmember Brooks approves, or yeah, Councilmember Brooks moves to approve the transfer of additional funds up to 1,500. It will cover not only the tree removal at the 3600 block at 43rd Avenue, but also potential additional trees.
Councilmember Hobbs seconded. Good, good, good.
So I'd like to open that for discussion.
So there was another tree that was on the 40th Avenue, that was on a property that was not his, it was neighbors, but it was a dead tree. And at the time, we had a different code inspector, and the protocol is they have to assess the tree if it's indeed dead, and for that, they have to send somebody from the county, from what I understood. So there was I don't think there was any resolution on that tree as well. So just wanted to add that address. I can come back with the address, the exact address.
So request something that the undercut the other side of the tree. Yep, just left branches on the other side. That person, they've complained to me as well.
Oh,
on the
that-
tree. Yeah. at the end of
Really?
the street, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a
On-
different, yeah,
Close to the Lawrence.
yeah.
Was that the parking lot one?
No, it's across from the parking lot.
But it was shedding debris into the residence garage. And, yeah, potentially damaging it. So that's the one. That's number 2 tree. Let's
Thank you,
allocate
Dan.
all the trees and we're done.
Well, if that tree was on private property, we wouldn't cut that down.
I know,
Yeah.
but the thing is, not only is the tree on that property, there's a car that's been sitting there for years and been unregistered. So maybe it wasn't on private property. Maybe it was just in this like general area. Sometimes there are those in town.
What are we
So
talking
this-
about now?
yeah,
I'm
this-
missing.
I'm
Oh,
not,
it's not tree related? Sorry, it's not,
Yeah.
is it tree related? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about one tree.
We can take that offline because it's not pertaining to the motion. The motion is to transfer the 1,500.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly, yes.
And that's a private property issue.
But yes, exactly. Sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is private.
So my only question is, Mr. Baden, we're talking about moving funds from the unreserved funds into the tree line item.
Yes.
And so the suggestion is to move 1,500. And so I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Is that to do more than just the proposal that's in front of us? Is that the idea? Yeah, I mean, there was one brought up earlier. I don't know about that, if that would even be enough to, that would be the place I would recommend taking it from, would be the unreserved.
Okay, so, so is there any more discussion? Okay, so all in favor, say or vote aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, so we're moving 1,500 from the unreserved funds to the tree line. Okay. Who made the motion? Okay, thank you. Let's go to the request for funding to replace the town water heater.
So Public Works discovered that the 100 gallon water tank that the town, hot water tank, the town has failed and is flooding the basement. It's leaking. It needs to be fully replaced. We've now received 3 bids on it. The initial cost was going to be upwards of $25,000. The second one came in at 22,000, and Mr. Gorham was able to find someone today that could do it under 15,000. So we need to allocate funds from unreserved of 15,000 up to $15,000 for the replacement of the hot water tank. And so if you're wondering, because I asked do we have to have a hot water tank? We would actually lose our license for the kitchen and would not be able to rent out the hall. There may be other health hazards. I'm not sure. So the motion would be to transfer $15,000 from unreserved to the town hall maintenance.
It sounds like you guys already made the option. Choice of the three.
Oh, yeah, it's up to, yeah. Yeah, we're not, obviously not spending more than
Oh,
15,000.
no. Town was 15. No, I'm kidding. Councilmember Harding, I'll make that motion to approve the amount. To approve the amount of transfer up to $1,500. Oh, 15,000, sorry, from unreserved funds. What's the line item again?
Building maintenance.
Building maintenance to building maintenance.
And I think in the motion to approve, to give the authorization to go ahead with the repairs, because it's a $15,000 repair, so.
So we're not replacing, we're just repairing it?
No, we are replacing. It's a brand new hot water heater, and this one's 13 years old. It was, came with the building.
What's the,
Councilmember
I'm sorry, what's the service time limit on these heaters? Warranty, yeah.
I'm not sure of that. We can check on that.
We can't have discussion without a motion. Councilmember Harding, I'll make the motion to approve transferring funds $15,000 from the unreserved funds and approve the purchase for repairs on our water heater. Yeah,
Councilmember Brooks, Ward 3, seconds.
Okay, I'd like to open this up now for
Yeah.
discussion, please.
There were two motions, FYI. Yes, yes. But I know we combined them, that's cool. Yeah, so, for residential, for HVAC or any other, there's a warranty, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years. What is, 10 years, is that the normal, time expiration for normal service time for this type of unit? Like, are we expecting it to be replacing every 10 years?
It's been 13 years, and I'm sure the warranty is not anywhere near 10 years. They did say it's out of warranty, but I wouldn't expect more than a 5-year warranty or so on a commercial hot water heater. But we could check on that before the purchase. But it's whatever the manufacturer provides. So,
What's in the name of the brand? Do you know?
A.O. Smith, which is a well-known brand. Mike and I had actually checked online over a year ago because it was recommended that it be replaced about a year ago, and we were able to limp along a little longer. And the hot water heater itself, for the model that we have, ran about 10,000 just for the unit if you bought it yourself. So when he came back with the price of 25,000, I was like, that can't be 15,000 labor to put it in. And he got a price of 22,500, and I recommended another company to him, which I believe is the one that came in. I think it's going to be 13,750, but he wasn't able to get that in writing before the end of the day. Because right at the end of the day, the plumbing company said that they determined they didn't need to do something else, so it was going to bring it down, below 14,000. So, but could not get the written quote in time for the meeting.
Are there possible ways to, I know the green team is all about efficiency and credits, to get an efficiency unit that we get maybe a discount from the county or state because it's efficiency?
Nothing that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I think it's a Councilmember Brooks is bringing a good point, because a lot of these units are like energy certified or STAR certified, And we should be counting on some rebates if we're doing this and we're purchasing maybe a unit that is newer, that is more efficient.
Again, I'm not aware of anything like that that's available for municipalities. Homeowners could, there are some type of rebates, I believe, for that, but not for commercial.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I'm Googling that
Oh, you are, yes, okay.
and Greg is Googling it too.
I will research that tomorrow because Washington Gas may have something. I'm not aware of it, but
All right.
So what are we gonna do in the meantime? There's a motion in regards to this. We've been without a water heater for a week.
Mm.
Oh, wait a second. Does this mean that we can't have any events at the town hall?
That we can't do what?
That we
The
can't have any
retreat.
events at the town hall because of the water heater? Oh,
The retreat, you mean?
Huh?
Really? The retreat too, or not? Are you not?
don't
really
try to
sure?
sneak away out of the retreat.
I was like.
That's
should I get a
happening.
cold showers
hotel?
are part of the retreat.
That's happening.
So no showers?
Cold showers
Oh.
after Zoom.
After we tase each other. So this means we need to get this water heater like as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, we can heat water in the stove.
What?
She said heat
Water on
on
the stove?
It's a Philippines.
Sorry, we got a bunch of comedians on this council tonight.
Just you have to, when you
Ms.
have to
Williams?
survive, you have to think creatively, you know that.
I'm sure that there's probably like a time limit on it. Like, I don't think we'd have to cancel everything now. Like, just logically speaking, I don't think we'd have to cancel it. But like, we can't go for longer than like, let's say, 2 to 4 weeks without hot water.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe does the motion need to be, well,
I think the motion was stated like beautifully so that it's up to 15,000, so.
Yes,
I
the motion
think
is to
as a-
transfer 15,000 from
Yeah.
unreserved to the town hall maintenance
So-
line and approve the purchase of the water
Right.
heater.
If we anticipate it's to be under 15, so we can probably vote on it today.
okay, so do we take a vote on it now? Okay, so all in favor, say aye. Aye.
I,
All against, say nay. Okay,
Councilmember Hargan, I'd like to add to the record that I removed my first motion.
okay, thank you. Then after the water heater, we can talk about item D, and then after item D, we'll go back to the budget discussion. So item D is introduction of 005-2023 business license amendments. So take it away, Greg Holcomb.
This is the building, a building. It's a long day. This is the business license ordinance that has been reviewed by the town attorney per our discussions at the work session. The concept behind this was to simplify the fee structure for all businesses in town, to all business and trades professions at $250 a year, but to do a 2-year license. So it would be $500 payment, but they only have to renew every 2 years. If a business is to move out within after the first year, we would refund that second year. The first year would not be refunded. Sets for home occupations, maintains the home occupation, excluding construction and trade contractors at $50 per year. Trade and construction contractors would be a business license. And then mobile vendors at $25 per day which covers the vendors that use the Literacy lot. That is technically a one-day business license. The only what's the penalty? It does add in some provisions about obnoxious businesses that were not there prior, and also sets. So there's a highlighted section. The highlight did not come out very well on page 7 under under alcoholic beverage license. The last section of the last sentence, I should say, says Prince George's County is prescribed by Article 2B, section 8 through 24A. The town attorney is looking that section up. That's the old codified section of the code. And so we need to update that. But it does add a 20% of the license fee that is paid by a business that has an alcohol license, whatever that the county fee is, 20% fee business license for alcoholic beverages. So this is really the only thing for tonight is a motion just to introduce the ordinance for just to start the process. So we can bring it back up at the work session and then we would have it at the next council meeting to either move forward with it or you can do second, move it on to third readings even if you wanted to. So the motion is just to introduce the ordinance.
Councilmember Melinda Mendoza, I'll make that motion stated.
Councilmember Harden, I'll second that motion.
Opening this up for discussion. Is there any discussion?
Yes. So, page 1, 2, 3 of the ordinance. So the fee is 50, let's see, this is paragraph A, number 2, home occupations excluding construction and trades contractors, $50 per year. So could you give me an example of home occupations and then why are we excluding construction and trade out contractors?
Yes, so the fee is actually doesn't change. The home occupation fee does not change. Home occupation would be defined as what the home occupation is allowed by PG County. And so an example of that would be
Like a child.
you make soap and sell it on Etsy, or you're a crafter, things along those lines. Technically, things like attorneys and accountants can operate out of their homes. However, I believe PG County, like most places, they define home occupation as not having foot traffic. So it would be more of you operate your business as, say, an attorney, you're only operating it to do the work of an attorney, not having clients come in and out. So once that happens, that is no longer a home occupation. It goes up and above. The reason for the contractor, that is an additional, and partially has to do with the discussion that we had tonight about parking. And so the fees for a business license, for any licensing, is really only to cover the cost of administering the license. It's not necessarily a big moneymaker for a town. So the enforcement mechanism side of that. So for a home occupation, there's very little that we have to do for a business that's operating out of a home versus, we're constantly patrolling the shopping center for those businesses. So that licensing is a higher fee for those individuals. So in this situation, it was kind of thought that with contractors having trucks and trailers and the need for enforcement of that, that we should not keep them at a $50 level if our police department has to patrol that more often and to make sure they're within the compliance of our codes.
They're excluded altogether from any fees, is that correct?
No, that's only under the home occupation. So under some codes could list a home occupation as being, if you're a construction trade contractor, an independent contractor that does trades out of your house, you could be considered a home occupation because you don't have people coming and going. You're going out into the world to do your construction. You're just managing your business from there. However, we're adding in that extra effect of, but you're also parking multiple vehicles on the street. There's possibly materials being stored in the yard that's unseemly. Code enforcement is kind of keeping up with you. It's kind of based on some of the feedback I've heard over the last 6 months from previous issues that we've had in town with contractors. So they're not excluded by any means. No, they are just listed as a regular business.
Right. And I think it's not clear with the way it's written.
Well, it states all business trades and professions are $250 a year. And then home occupations excluding construction and trades. So it's just excluding them from being a home occupation. But this is just an introduction to the ordinance. Like I said, we'll bring it up at the work session for further discussion. There may be other things you would want to change in it. You can amend that section. You can amend anything in it. It's up to the council, but this is just for introduction.
How are we planning on our Ward 3, Councilmember Brooks, how are we planning on level setting? So what I mean is, how do we identify all of these businesses? Because if it's incumbent upon them to submit application to the clerk treasurer, and then the code enforcer, who we're still in process of hiring, and the police department are to enforce it, how do we do that?
Yes, so I've had some experience in this in a previous town. You have to use public sources to identify people that are registered as LLCs, corporations, etc. So we could pull either through the state, because you have to register with the state, or you pull from the county courts. Actually, the circuit court takes resale licenses. So if you want to resell something or any sale of a good, you have to get a license from them. So those lists would identify individuals in the community that would be selling something or operating as a business. It gets difficult, and this is just everywhere. If you're an independent sole proprietor, you're not registering. So there's not a lot of documentation on that. Another possibility would be also your license plates, if they're commercial license plate registrations, and eyes and ears. So I know over the last 6 months, I know of at least 3 town businesses that have, usually it's just openly admitting that they're operating. They just don't know, it's not necessarily that they're doing it on purpose to save $50 or whatever. It's just not knowing the law.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now let's go back to new business, number 8, budget discussion. So I ask Mr. Baden to lead the discussion, please.
I'll do that. There was a motion to introduce the ordinance that had not been voted on yet.
Sorry, I thought it was just like introduced and we didn't have to motion it, but sorry. So,
Councilman Barnett, second that motion.
okay, open it up for discussion, which I think we've just done. So call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
So what did we vote on?
Introducing it.
Just introduce. Okay, can we do it again? Because we were not voting. Can we vote again?
Well, we're introducing it, then we
know.
discuss it at the next town hall meeting, whether we're gonna adopt it or not. But there's a work session in between. So we'll be talking about it at the work session and then we'll be voting on it.
Yeah. I think she was just wanting to, yeah.
Just
Oh,
ask me
you
to
want to
vote
vote again?
No, so.
Oh, you didn't say aye.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a voice vote, so it doesn't, as long as one person says aye and no one opposes it.
Okay, and no
it's
one.
fine.
Oh, no one opposed. So please keep in mind, if you oppose, say oppose, or if you abstain, you just say abstain, right? Okay. All right, so take it away, Mr. Beeden.
All right, thank you. So you now have a copy of the first draft of the fiscal year 24 budget in front of you, and I'll kind of go through the format of the report so that you'll know how to read it, and then highlight some of the items within the report. So if you look at the spreadsheet itself, it's broken into 6 different columns. And this is intended to give you some past historical data in order to see trends and those types of things. And, that helps to show you how we come up with the current year's budget. So the first three columns relate to the current fiscal year, which is the fiscal year that we are in now. So the first column are the actual figures that were on the March treasurer's report that was approved under the consent agenda tonight. The second column is the budget for fiscal year 23 as amended up to the end of March. And then the third column is where I've estimated we will end up for each of the revenue and expense accounts during the year. So if you follow the third column all the way to the last page, or next to the last page of what you have, which would be page 8 of 8. And you look at the third column, I'm estimating that we are going to end this year almost at a break-even point, but at a $15,520 deficit. So if you look at page 8 of 8, third column, last item, that's taking all of our estimated revenues, all of our estimated expenses for the current fiscal year and giving you the net effect of that. So, we're looking at about a $15,820 or $520 deficit for the year. So that gives you historical data through the current fiscal year, 9 months of the current fiscal year. And then in the fourth and fifth columns, I have given you the actual fiscal year 21 numbers that were audited figures from the past audits for revenue and expense, and the fiscal year 22 actual revenue and expense from the audited statement. So you could see how we performed during those years. And if you look again at page 8 of 8 in column 4, we operated $143,000 deficit in 21, and last year $27,716 deficit. So those are past historical data that you can use as you're looking at each of these numbers. And then the final column is what the proposed fiscal year 24 budget is. So a lot of these numbers I've gotten from tax information from the county that they send out for real property tax, any items that, such as highway users revenue, we've received estimates from the state on that. Personal property taxes, it's kind of an historical number. And, a lot of the other numbers are based on, items that we know, and the ones that we don't, they're best guess estimates from historical data and any decisions that the council has made regarding those items going forward. So when you get to the bottom line of the fiscal year 24 budget, there's a projected deficit of $74,773. And if you look to the very bottom again of page 8 in the final column, it's not showing that, it's showing as 0 because we have used surplus funds in order to cover that deficit. So surplus funds that the city has from one year that carries over from year to year can be used as a revenue in subsequent years to help fund any shortfalls. So when you look at the bottom line in column 8, you're not seeing the $74,000 deficit. You're seeing 0 because we have to adopt a balanced budget, and we balanced it by using the surplus funds. So, if you go back to the spreadsheet, the memo that I sent to the mayor and city manager a week ago with the draft of this budget, I stated that the budget as presented will fund all the services that the town currently provides. So it's, all the police services, public works, recreation, general government, administrative services, those have been funded fully in the budget. It doesn't add any staff. It doesn't add any departments, really doesn't add any new services to the residents. So, as presented, it's status quo. Everything is being funded as we currently operate. Staffing remains the same as it is now with the addition of a code enforcement officer at 24 hours a week. I did receive an email from Chief Stone after that budget went out, and he said, we're currently looking at 20 hours a week, but at 25 an hour, and I think I had it at 24 something an hour. So, we could adjust that, but it won't be a big difference. The police department maintains one part-time officer for 20 hours a week. Currently, we have two part-time because we had a officer that was on workers' comp this year, and they were kind of brought in to fill that position. My estimate for the year, for the current year, assumes that we are going to maintain those two part-time officers to June 30th, that we have enough money to do that, even by bringing the one officer back. So we could continue, if you wish, keeping the two part-time officers until the end of June. If you adopt the budget as proposed, you would need to get rid of one of those positions based on the numbers that are here. Obviously that could be a discussion you have. So the budget assumes the chief, 3 full-time officers, 1 part-time 20-hour week, and then the administrative person, Mr. Wells, and I think some overtime. The other departments, have the current staffing, front office staff, public works staff remains the same. There is included a 5% increase for all of those personnel, within those departments. And I did include the salary schedule as the very final document in there, so you could actually see, and that will not be going out to the public. But that is for your information. So if you're doing analysis and want to see what people are getting paid and why the salary numbers are what they are, these numbers on that final sheet will tie into the salary line items for each department and the payroll tax line items for each department. And they're shown on that last page. So if you're looking to add people, get rid of people, whatever you're looking to do, you could see what's already included in there. And on that sheet, some of those people are part-time, and in the bottom left corner, under the notes, you could see how many hours, are included for that person above, such as the bus drivers are at 14 hours per week. So you see Mr. Spriggs, Mr. Blue, 14 hours a week. And if you go up to the transit salaries, you can see their hourly rate. If you multiply their hourly rate by 14 hours a week times 52 weeks, you'll get the salary that's shown there that also ties into the budget schedules. There are 3 items that are operating costs that are being paid for out of ARPA, which is what we did this year. One is the town administrator position. The other 2 are the summer employment and the annual fire department donation. So if you look at the ARPA line item, which is page 8 of 8. There's some, in order for the schedules to come out, there's assumptions made, which, this will need to be tweaked some more on the ARPA side, but, for accounting purposes and to put this all in here, it's assumed that all of the ARPA funds are spent by the end of 2023. So when you look at this column, you don't see much in the fiscal year 24 column. And that's because we need to kind of have more discussion. Greg and I sit down, determine, how much of the monies that are allocated currently are getting carried over into this year that aren't going to get expended. And so, that will be adjusted as we go through the process. But the ARPA funds are the ARPA funds, and we've already allocated them for specific uses. So, you could reallocate that if you want, but overall, it's all going to be spent. Whatever has come in is going to be spent. And for purposes, I assumed it's either happened in 2022 or will happen in 2023. So the revenue and expense for those year equal. So if you look at the final column, fiscal year 24, the only items that are included in there currently are the consultant, which is Mr. Himmler at his contractual rate. I think it's $1,500 a month for the 12 months, gives you the 18,000. And then the summer employment, fire department donation, and town administrator costs are all shown there because those are all the consultant and the town administrator things that we've agreed to pay out of the ARPA funds. Obviously, we'll need to find other sources for that after the ARPA funds are depleted, but we basically got at least another 1 to 2 years to do that because we have to either obligate or expend or obligate the funds by the end of December 2024. So we definitely got a full year left in the fiscal year 24 to use it for those purposes, and then part of 2025, at least 6 months of 2025. And these are items that in the current budget, we have funded this way. So I did not put them back into the operating budget. If you do, it increases our deficit above the $74,000 that we have allocated there. So those are the items that are, being funded that are really operating costs. If we want to continue a town manager, if we want to continue doing the summer employment, fire department donations, another year and a half from now, we're going to need to find other resources to do that. The real property tax rate that you see on page 1, the first item, I kept it the constant yield rate, which is what I had stated earlier in the meeting tonight. So you could see for fiscal year 21, 22 actuals, 23 actual, and 24, the real property taxes are about the same. I mean, they fluctuate a little bit because, the values fluctuate a little bit, but what's really happened is we've kept the rate constant for a number of years now. So as Councilmember Brooks, or no, Councilman Brooks, if the property tax if the assessment goes up, you need to lower your tax rate in order to get the same amount of revenue. So our value of properties went up, but we've decreased our tax rate in order to do that. So, the commercial real property tax rate in this year was 82.59 cents per every $100 of assessed value. For next year, it's being proposed at 79. So even though the value of properties went up, we've lowered the tax so that the businesses aren't going to pay any more or any less tax than what they are now. And then on the residential property, our current tax rate is 87.67 cents. So almost 88 cents per $100 of assessed value. Value of the property's gone up about $5 million. We've lowered the tax rate so that the residents will not pay any more tax on that, down to 83.68. So really, the rate is being reduced about 4 cents on commercial property. Residents won't see any decrease, but they won't see any increase either. On the fund balance that I had talked about, so I said we're proposing a $74,000 deficit, which will take our fund balance down to from 737,000. I'm projecting at June 30th of this year, which is the beginning of our next fiscal year, that we'll have about a $737,000 surplus. If you take 74,000 from that to fund next year's budget, we'll have a $659,000 surplus, which is about 40% of our annual budget, which is still very healthy. Rule of thumb is that you should keep about 25% in reserves, as a cushion. for unexpected expenditures or, some major catastrophe or something that you have to deal with. So, our fund balance will still be in a healthy position. And those are, that's basically how we balance the budget. So, those are, the hierarchy or the overall bird's eye picture of, how the budget was put together and what's included in it. And, we could take these line item by line item, probably not tonight, to go through, or if, probably better everyone take a look at it, come up with questions they have, and we either designate a special budget meeting just to discuss the budget before our next work session. And, I think that usually, gets us in a pretty good position as we go into May and, into adoption in June. So, we basically got 2 months to go through this. Unless you all are doing, some major changes or cuts or something, I think this gets us through fiscal year 24. Definitely, there is a, that deficit still looms over us. It would be nice to cut 74,000 out of the budget and have a balanced budget. For the items that we're funding out of ARPA, I assume we all want to continue with the town manager, which is one of the large items that we're funding out of ARPA. Another, year and a half after this one, we're going to have to figure out how to do that. So those are all things that need to be looked at down the road. But, for the next year, I think it's a pretty responsible budget as proposed. And, you all, I'm sure have, some projects or things that may or may not be included in here and things that are currently funded that you may or may not want. So those are all the items that we would discuss, at, the budget meeting, and maybe you'll want to discuss it some on your retreat as well. I don't know. So that's about all I have as far as, initial presentation. If anyone has any questions now, I'll try to answer those. I did receive a couple items from the mayor and some comments from the chief and subsequent emails, and I could either, address those now, or we could address those, as we go through the budget discussion. Most of the mayors were related to town committees and groups that were asking for funding. And then the chiefs were just some comments about the code enforcement, the staffing level, and, body camera, I think, and vehicle maintenance. So, I think he was looking for a little more money in vehicle maintenance and, the staffing. He said that he could work with what is budgeted. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's what you said. Okay. And that the code position, is at 20 hours a week. I have it at 24, and that he advertised it at 25 an hour, and I had it at 24.03. So there's probably a little savings there because you're cutting it back by 4 hours. But those are all things, I could revise in the next draft with any other changes you have. The mayor, gave me the funding for the different groups, which, we could either put in or discuss. Some of those were already funded, some weren't. So the green team was asking 4,300. There's nothing currently budgeted for that. The garden club is asking for 2,750. I actually had it in at 4, so, we could reduce it down to 2,750. The recreation committee is 13,000. I assume that's the same thing as the recreation council and recreation events. Is that right? I already had it funded at 10. They're looking at 13. Hispanic Outreach Committee wanted 3,000. I did not have that in there. Animal Welfare Committee wanted 2,000. I did not have that in there. Neighborhood Watch wants 2,500. I did not have anything budgeted for that either. Dues and subscriptions is asking for 3,500. I had 2,160 in there. Don't know, those are the normal PGCMA, Maryland Municipal League, Maryland Mayors, Maryland Hispanic Mayors, and a few other ones that we're already paying for. So I don't know which ones we would be adding. So that would be a good discussion. And then training, you're requesting 4,000, there's 2,000 allocated. So, a lot of these items were already allocated. My suggestion to keep the deficit lower would maybe be fund these out of ARPA again. The kind of committees and things like that, see how they work, see, a lot of these are new committees, new funding. Maybe you fund them out of ARPA because we have money there and you don't have to increase your deficit or go into unreserved funds for some of those. So that was, Mayor asked, how can we incorporate those into the budget? That would be my initial suggestion. Ultimately, we want to bridge that deficit, but for this year, I don't really think it's that important. We do need to think about tightening up things as we move along, or work to get more funding. Most of the funding that normal funding sources we have, they're fixed. I mean, you don't see them changing a whole lot. The only item we have control over is our tax rate, and no one wants to increase taxes, so that's why I kept it at the constant yield rate. So, a penny on the residential rate gets you about $9,500 a penny, and on the commercial rate gets you about $2,700. So, doesn't, it's not a huge amount, a penny, but that's what you get. For every penny you increase the commercial, it's $2,700. So, again, it's not going to fund a whole lot. It gets you a little bit of money if you, need a little bit, but it's not a huge, huge amount.
Dan, I had a question. The constant yield rate, do you have to do it for both commercial and residential, or can you do it for residential and not commercial?
They totally stand separate.
Separate,
So
okay.
you could, you could increase one, not the other. You could decrease one, not the other. You could increase both, decrease both. You do it. You have the ability to tax whatever level you want. But Rufus Lusk in the next meeting. Yeah, and personal property tax, it's $1.50. $1.50, $1.65 per 100. $1.65, yes. So, you do have control over that as well.
I had one more question about the 5% increase included for all employees. Is that performance-based, or is that just a generic 5%?
We've never really given cost of living increases. We've usually given employees, 2 to 3, 4% increase. The actual cost of living percentage increase from January of 22 to January of 23 was 4.4% for this area. So, that just keeps the employees, on level with inflation, basically. So, we don't have a scale here, pay scale where they would get a automatic step increase. We've always just, we've always had tight budgets. So it was really, what can we afford? And, as most of you have seen, price of food and gas and everything, it's gone up quite a bit over the last couple of years. And, the inflation cost of living is 4.4%. So if you give them a 5% increase, you barely kept them up with inflation. So that was my logic behind that.
Thank you.
So what are ways the towns make money? So obviously, like, when was the last time that we increased taxes in this town? Residential taxes and commercial, actually. When was the last
Yeah,
time?
I mean, the constant yield, it looks like for the last 3 years, we've kept it at the constant yield. We do have the year close to the highest tax rate in the county, and that goes back to, or in the state, actually, I know it's county, right?
State.
Both? Okay. And that goes back, I had shared this with one of the council members recently, but it goes back to when we reinstituted the police department and agreed to build this town hall. So back in, 2008 or so, we had a non-binding referendum and asked the residents if they want a new town hall and if they wanted a new police department and were willing to have their taxes doubled in order to do that. The residents, it's non-binding and it was close, but voted not to do it. And the council decided that, this was good for the town. We needed to do it. So, that's how we got to where we are. It's not, we're a smaller town, but we're offering a lot of services in a beautiful town hall in order to do it. And the residents are, need to pay for it. So, that is why we're in the position we are. Before that, you could take your tax rate in half and be in a moldy building that you couldn't use the basement because it got a foot of water when it rained and, you didn't have a police department. So those are the trade-offs. But as far as other revenue sources, I believe, speed camera revenue, I know it's a safety measure, but, I've seen it in other areas that, that could be a huge revenue source. And I think that's something we need to, push through sooner than later for the speed cameras. And I think it's sustainable. It usually goes down some. As far as the town administrator, there is the circuit rider program within the state. Now that we had Miss Goodall, where you share a circuit rider, you have to have at least one other town to do it. I would ask their lobbyists to lobby next session to amend that program and not, allow you to use the program to hire a administrator, partially fund an administrator, and not have to go in with another town and share them because, there's issues with that. So, if you could get the legislation amended under the circuit rider program and you could fund up to half the cost of administrator or something and the town puts up the other half, you've, now made up half your, cost there. It'd be easier to come up with the other 50,000 or whatever it comes to. So those are, some of my immediate thoughts on one, a funding source, and one, a grant opportunity that would enable us to continue on with, administrator without raising taxes or something like that later.
Do you have any recommendations on how we could evaluate the rate increase for the use of space here? I mean, we raised it, but I want to make sure that it was worthwhile and that there's something that evaluates or can tell us, if we've made more money, if we've lost money, like what would that look like?
I think it would need to, we need to evaluate after a year or so and see if, that would be the determining factor. If we cut back on rentals, but raise the rates, if we cut down number of rentals, then it could possibly be decreasing, the amount of revenue you're bringing in. So, this is assuming that, we're keeping it, at the level that, we've been, the historical level. If we rent it the same amount of time and, we've increased the rates, then we should see some type of increase there.
So what is the process for this whole budgeting? Can you remind me again? So you introduced it tonight. Well, you actually introduced it via email to everyone. In May, sorry, we're in April. So in May, we talk about it again, and then in June we vote.
Yep, so you get to discuss it, this wasn't accompanied with an ordinance, so it gets introduced as an ordinance and adopted as an ordinance, that's via state law. So it's a budget ordinance. So we do need to, come up with an ordinance and probably introduce it at the next work session. It would be good to have a budget discussion sometime between now and the next work session where we could go through individually. You'll digest what I just talked about, see if you have any other ideas, plans, whether it's, program wise, staffing wise, whether you want to fund other things out of ARPA, which you could, which would lower our deficit and keep our surplus. But, I think the surplus is at a healthy level, and I don't have any problem in using the surplus to do, to balance the budget. But those are all discussions we need to have. So if we could schedule a meeting between now and next work session, that would be good. Then we have to, discuss it again at the work session in May. The town meeting in May is usually when we have the public hearing. So we would need to advertise for the public hearing, have it at the May work session, and then you still have another month. If you want to have any other special meetings to go dive any deeper. And then, we usually adopt it at the, you have your June work session, discuss it again. So there's plenty of time, and then adopted at the June town meeting. I did talk to the county. I'd mentioned it to you, I think, at the last meeting, that they had sent some information out. They're really just reiterating what their policy is. They would like the rates by the beginning of June. But I think we're okay getting it to them after the June town meeting. If we adopt it sooner, we'll get it to them sooner, but that would be the drop dead date. We only have 2 tax rates, so it's not like they have to plug a lot of 15 different tax rates in and test out their system. So I'm not too concerned about that, as long as we get it to them by the second meeting in June. So next step, I would think, is you'll take a look at it, and let's schedule a meeting between now and first work session May.
So between now and then, I don't know if there's any dates that work for people, but I think we should set a date. So I'm traveling and out of town the 21st through the 24th of April. So either we meet next week or the week of the 24th, because our next work session is on May 2nd.
True. And if you want to wait to the work session to discuss it, but we always have a lot of items on the agenda. So it's, it's been practice that we usually have at least one standalone budget session.
Yeah, I would recommend it before, or a separate meeting.
So this separate meeting, is the public invited? And
Sure.
well, they're always invited, but like, is this considered a budget hearing?
It's not a budget hearing. And what Mr. Barr would usually say is that you go into a committee of the whole, and I don't fully understand it, but it means that you don't have to follow all the normal procedures of Robert's rules. And so you open the meeting, and then you say, we're going to convene to a committee of the whole to discuss the budget. And then it's really just an open discussion amongst the council. You don't really bring in public comment or anything. It's for you all to talk freely and, without rules of order in place, in order to make the most progress you can.
So what's that called? Committee whole?
Committee of the whole.
Committee
So
of the whole?
you're the council, but
Oh,
now
the
you're
whole.
of WHOLE,
Oh, okay.
not the whole. So you're not acting as the council, you're acting as kind of a budget committee to review the budget. So you're a committee of the whole council reviewing the budget. So that your regular meeting decorum is it's a little more open.
Thank God.
For the best possible comments and conversations to take place.
Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna open it up to you all to pick a date.
So does the council prefer weekends or weekdays?
My blackout dates, May 20th through June 10th. April 18th?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Next Tuesday. Great.
Next Tuesday?
unless it's after 7:30, there's a. 18th.
So
There's
the
a-
green team had suggested they were gonna meet, but then I think Sal pulled back. He said that-
Well, the Port Towns sector plan, there's a meeting that day that the mayor and I have to attend. But it's only until 7:30.
You have a meeting
On the
till
18th.
7:30?
It's from 6:30 to 7:30.
Oh,
The Port Towns sector plan.
20th, April 20th?
May 20th, May.
April.
No, April. We're
May.
talking in the next week or.
April.
No, I'm just saying like, you
Yeah.
know,
The 20th doesn't work for me. I've got other meeting that night.
So our options are April 17th or April 19th. Or
25, 26, 27.
24, 25, unless someone can come on the.
Oh, 24, yeah. Oh, yeah, I can't come to 24.
Yeah, you're out the 21st, 4th, yeah, so 25, 26, 27, 28.
April 25th.
Oh, okay. What about the 6th? What about Sunday? We spent the entire weekend
19th?
together.
What about the 19th?
The 19th, which is Wednesday. Did I have something on the 19th? Do we have anything on the 19th?
I do not have any.
That code review on the 19th, that's the Wednesday, correct? Yeah, the code review, so we'll be releasing a code.
Oh, it is. Well,
Maybe, is there a way that we can do a survey? Because. Yeah.
no,
You
I'd
might-
rather just do this.
Do it right now?
Yeah, do it right now.
All right.
Um. So the 25th or the 26th?
25th works for me.
Either of those.
Does it work for you, Chief? And the 25th works for you, Mr. Beagle?
25th or 26th, I'm good for either.
Greg? Okay, so the 25th. Can we start early? I mean, how long are we realistically thinking that we might need to talk about this?
I hate to always say this, but that's up to you all. It's not.
How long has it taken to pass?
How many changes people want to discuss, how many topics? I mean, you all should have an idea, but a couple hours.
All right, so 5:30 on Tuesday, the 25th?
5:30. For now. Well, it seems to be okay. I just will be very exhausted, I think, but it's okay.
All right,
I'm
so-
working from 8:30 to 3:30. Teaching nonstop and that takes a lot of energy, so, but it's okay.
5:30 Tuesday, the 25th. It's not on the agenda, but I'll just put it out there. We should start thinking about what we're gonna do for the summer, if we're gonna take August off. Like, I think we did that last year. I think we took August off last year, so just FYI, putting it out there. We can talk about it later. But I think that's it then. All right, so request a motion to close out our meeting.
I'll make that motion stated. Councilmember Melinda Mendoza.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.
We're hosting PGCMA.
It's good for you here, but it's actually depressing as well.
Yeah.